Hey guys, welcome back to another comic related video, and this time we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing a what I'm going to be calling it a kind of like a bulk review. This is kind of a mixture of like impressions of a series versus like some critiques mixed in there. So we're going to go through 5 different series. These are all series that I've been reading for a little bit or have finished, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. So starting off, we're going to talk about Die, Die, Die. If you've been with the channel and have been watching all of our comic stuff, you'll know we've touched on this before. This is a comic, if you guys haven't seen it, it's meant just to be, dumb fun. It's action-filled, bloody. It's just, it focuses on a lot of comedy aspects and tropes. I would say the central focus is more of like, spies and assassins for the government, and it plays on a lot of different things in those, as I'm sure you can probably think of a few. Just looking at this picture, I don't know if you can really make it out. They kind of go over government conspiracies, such as like, are there moon men, like aliens? There's also like the whole corrupt politician thing, assassination attempts, like, I don't know. I could go on and on and on, and it's just great if you, experience it yourself. This is one I've actually caught up with recently, and after catching up with it, I've loved it a lot more. I've always liked the feel that it had and kind of like the approach. And it's just a comic, like if you're looking for one to enjoy a read, but not one that you necessarily have to remember a lot of little details, and you just want to see something just over the top, I think this is one that you guys should be worth checking out. There is an approach that they have to politics, which I know I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of when, things get really political, especially, entertainment-wise. But if you've watched like Rick and Morty, I think it has kind of an approach like that, where they kind of make fun of everyone, although there is some times there where it feels like they overstep in taking a side. So there is that's kind of like one thing that makes me kind of dislike it at times. But overall, I do really appreciate the humor. I think it's one, again, if you're not easily triggered, you should have a lot of fun with. And this one, as a matter of fact, is taking a break, so you should be able to read all of it and catch up before any new ones come out. They just finished their first arc, so I believe the latest one, I think this is taken from the second to the last one, so they're on issue 8. So that's one that I would say is worth the watch, or worth the read, if you're looking for something just to tie you over. Now this next one, we've also touched on this one on the channel, The Realm. This is actually one that has been moving so slowly, that's why I decided to put it in here on this one. But this latest issue, issue 13, man, this is finally something that I can honestly say that I'm like, all right, I'm getting hooked now. So it's starting to, get its pacing, get its footing on where it's wanting to tell the story and kind of, cementing into that. If they really stay with that, this is, I think, will be a really good series. It just started off really slow. So this is one I'm still keeping my eye on. I'm still reading it from time to, for every month. But if you're looking for something that has like a mixture of sci-fi, maybe not sci-fi, but like post-apocalyptic and like fantasy, I think this is a really cool take on that. And it's just now getting started up. So I believe they have 2 volumes out right now, so you can pick both of those up. I think this is one that, like I said, is just getting good, so this would be a great one to where you could just speed through kind of like not necessarily the boring section, but like the slower pace, and then, now you're really into the stuff that's getting good. Again, it could turn. We'll touch back on it if that's the case, but as of right now, I'm digging it, so I would recommend it to you guys to keep sticking with it, because this was one I almost dropped until I read the latest issue. Then I'm like, all right, it kept me there. So anyway, we're going to get on. Now, this is probably the runt in the bunch that I'm going to show you today. This is called Crude, and this is a mini-series that only has one volume. I think it's around 6 issues. It might be a little bit longer than that. To be honest, this story is very different than what I thought it was going to be. The description on it kind of makes it seem like it's a revenge, a simple revenge story that, you know, is going to not really have anything unique in it, but it's just going to be, you know, a fun, brutal ride. And, you know, as you can tell in like one of these frames, there is some brutality in it. Overall, the story just went a 180 with me. I mean, it does still have the overall revenge theme, but it really diverges into more of like a I don't want to say a political stance, but like a movement, which, you know, it's fine. You know, it is what it is, and it's not really, that's not really why I hate it. I'm just saying that if you're, you know, interested in that, because I know, I mean, they're getting more and more stories like that, but if that's one that you've been looking for, then you might like it. But for me, I don't know, it was just, you know, the characters weren't really growing on me. They seemed kind of one-dimensional, and by the end of it, you know, you see some like maybe a few scuttles, but nothing that is really worth the read, in my opinion. But like I said, you know, if you're looking for something that maybe focuses more towards, I don't really know what I'm saying, because it's really hard to judge an audience here. I would suggest, you know, maybe if you can, read the first issue of it, and if it's something that really piques your interest, then, you know, go for it. But I think you'll be able to tell by the first issue if you don't like it, because if you're not liking the characters, then I wouldn't suggest you get into it, because it's more of a character story than it is like an action story. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next one here. Now this is one I think I just recently talked to one of you about and recommended it, Oblivion Song. I love this comic. This is I always like dimensional stuff. That's probably why I like Stranger Things, which, you know, people can, you know, argue whether they like it or not, but I think the concept is cool, at least. And so this kind of has a similar thing, you know, focuses on this event that basically leads part of Philadelphia being transported to another dimension, and then part of that dimension transferring into our world. And we focus on a character that is driven to finding the people that disappeared in that event and bringing them back. And you get, you know, a little bit more insight to that character, you know, figuring out that his brother is one of the people closest to him that disappeared, and that's one of the reasons why he has such a devotion to searching for these people. But there is some twist in there. You know, you get some revelations about, you know, his motives and how, I mean, he's got a little bit more of a motivation, or a little bit different motives that are really driving him forward. And then also there is some aspects about this dimension that kind of change. But overall, this is a really cool story. So if you like in sci-fi, if you like something that's got some you know, good characters, I'd say it's delivering pretty well so far. The illustrations in it, I like them a lot, although I will say the standouts in this comic are the creatures and like the I don't know, like the setting, you know, the background. You know, some of the illustrations for the main people can look a little goofy, because they look almost like, I don't want to, you know, call out the artist, but I don't know, sometimes I look at some of the faces, like how they're drawn, and it's like, it almost looks like a chimpanzee smiling. But you know, it is pretty cool. So I would recommend, if you guys want to check this you know, out, something, this is a really good one. You know, we give Robert Kirkman shit for The Walking Dead, which he definitely deserves right now, but I've really enjoyed his other work. I mean, Invincible is another great example of one I really like, and he does really good on his you know, smaller concepts and stuff like that. So definitely recommend checking this out. Now this last one is actually another miniseries that is probably my favorite or second favorite. I don't know. It's a really hard decision between Extremity and Kill or Be Killed. They're completely different genres, completely different. They couldn't be farther from different kinds of stories. But this is a story I really like. If you guys have seen or played Horizon Zero Dawn, it's kind of got a world similar to that where something happened and the world became desolate, but technology still survived, and these people are kind of more like a tribal, work off of a tribal system. There's feuding, and we focus on this young girl who, because of tribal violence, lost pretty much the only thing that, or I would say probably her identity. As you can probably tell in this, she has one hand, and that is something that weighs very heavily on her because she is an artist, the tribe's artist, and apparently like the best one that was known. And so that leads into a revenge plot that is very bloody and very great. I haven't talked to anybody else that's read this, so I don't know what the mainstream reception is to the ending or anything like that, but I think this is one miniseries that I really did enjoy, and it's like, it goes by so fast that you're sad that you didn't get a longer running version of this, but I was still content with the ride. So, beautiful illustrations. If you like action and gore, it's got that, and I think it's got a story that people can relate to or at least sympathize with. So, yeah, this is the first, I guess, episode or segment or whatever you want to call it of like a comic overdose. That's just kind of, I don't know. I thought there was so many series that I had been wanting to make a individual video for, but it's just been months that and then you get behind and everything like that. So I just figured we'd try this and talk about multiple and see exactly what people are reading, what people think of these. I'm gonna probably do more of these going forward with different series. We'll probably touch back on some ones I mentioned here or some other ones that we've talked before. That doesn't mean we're not going to do individual reviews. We'll still do that, especially if there's a demand for it. But yeah, I just thought this would be a fun variety thing. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if any of these interest you. If you've read any of these, what are you thinking? I think all of these, except for Crude, I'm looking at you and I don't like you. But the rest of them, I think, have been pretty good so far. So yeah, hit me up, and I'll see you guys later, Addicts. Peace.